Hello and welcome to this introductory case study in this course AI for Mastering Complexity in Problem Solving and Decision Making. So, in this lecture, we will take a look at this case study of using AI for building excellence in mastering complexity. And this is a case study of thinking at the edge, at the leading frontiers of using AI to master complexity in decisions. So, what is the background of this case? So, this is about a name mask, face mask person, Dheeraj Malhotra, 38 years old, who is a strategy lead at a diversified manufacturing firm. And Dheeraj is respected for his 15 plus years of experience, strong intuition, and data driven mindset. But the things have changed, environment has changed, right? Uh, he's now, his company is operating in a multi country setup. There are volatile regulations that they have to face, and there is demand which is not predictable, and there are conflicting shareholder goals. And what Neeraj notices there is that his, instincts earlier, which he used to use earlier, are no longer reliable. And while there is enough data around, but it seems to contradict each other. And the decisions are generally slower and carry higher risk. And he admits himself that while I'm not short of intelligence, there is a lot of complexity that I'm struggling to manage. So that's the background of the case. What is the core challenge in this situation? Now, Neeraj must recommend a 1,200 crore rupees capacity expansion decision that involves, multiple markets, political and regulatory uncertainty, supply chain fragility, ESG, pressures, and long-term irreversibility. The decisions that you take will not be possible to put them back where they started. And there are no single correct answers. There are no stability in the future that is going to happen, and there is no time to collect all the information that you need. Right. So that's a challenge, and you still need to decide in time. So, what is the insight that changed everything for Neeraj? Neeraj reframed his approach. Instead of saying AI should give me all the answers, he starts saying it should help me make better decisions under uncertainty. So he realizes that AI cannot give all the answers, and only it can help him make better decisions under uncertainty. So he decides to use AI as a complexity reduction and decision framing engine rather than an answering machine. Right. So that's the insight that changed everything. How? What did Neeraj do? How did he master the complexity? Let's take a look at that. First step he did was to define the problem, frame the problem with the help of AI. He asked AI, what is the real decision here? He asked further what uncertainties matter most and what assumptions am I unconsciously making. And AI helped him by surfacing the hidden constraints, you know, the trade offs that were not true, and the biases in the framing of the problem. And what Neeraj learned here is that the most complexity was coming from poorly framed problems, from not lack of data. So the moment he started defining the problems clearly, the things started becoming clearer. Second thing he did was to decompose the system using AI, right? And in that AI helped Neeraj map causal relationship, what is causing what, a simple representation here, but it was much more complex in a system. And yeah, also the feedback loops, what is affecting what in a repetitive manner, either in bringing it back to stability or reinforcing it, going out of the loop. And also the second order effect, like once you take a decision, what is the effect and what is the effect of the decision that you take further? So instead of linear analysis, he started getting now a systems view of the decision and the leverage point that he could use. And his learning here is that the complex systems respond to structure, not to brute force. Brute force doesn't produce any result because you may be applying the force at the wrong point. So leverage points are critical. So third step he did was to do scenario generation and stress testing. Neeraj used AI to generate multiple future scenarios, right? Extreme but possible scenarios and interaction between variables. So what is happening there? You know, he asked questions like, under which futures does this decision fail? When will decision likely to fail? And what would make me regret this choice that I'm making? Under what condition would I say, hey, I should have not made this choice? And he understood and he learned that good decisions should survive many futures, not just the one that is likely to happen. So they should be resilient decisions to the likely futures that's going to happen, or even unlikely for that matter. Now, fourth step he did was he formulated decision rules instead of prediction. And here AI helped him define the conditional decision rules, help him decide if this happens, this is what you should do. If this happens, this is what you should do. Also, it helped him find out trigger-based actions, under what conditions, under what triggers, what actions should be taken, and reversible versus irreversible step. Say, for example, if regulations title beyond X, pause investment. If demand crosses Y, accelerate investment. And the learning for him here, and for us as well, is that in complexity, rules will outperform the forecast because forecasts will go wrong. So if you have rules that can take care of all possible forecasts, they will outperform. The fifth thing was to use AI as a bias detector. Neeraj asked AI to challenge his reasoning, identify confirmation biases, surface ignored alternatives, the ones that he was not considering. And here, AI played the role of a devil's advocate, external thinker, and emotionless challenger. Right. And what he learned in this process was that the biggest risk in complexity is those confidences that are not questioned. The areas of confidence that are not questions are the biggest risk in complexity management. Then he translated a complexity to clear communication, where AI helped Neeraj reduce the decision to a one-page narrative, explain trade-offs simply, communicate uncertainty without confusion, and say example of a board-ready message was that this decision prioritizes optionality over scale for the next 24 months while preserving long-term growth. And what he learned in this step, in this part of the process, was that clarity is the leadership responsibility. He needs to bring clarity as a leader. Then the turning point. So, what was the turning point? So, at one of the board meetings, Neeraj presented one clear recommendation, which was supported by scenarios, decision rules, and explicit assumption. And listening to his presentation, one of the board members said, you did remove uncertainty only, but you also made it manageable. And the board approved a phased option-rich strategy because even if the futures change, the the decision remains sound. So that was the turning point. And what transformation happened at Neeraj on a personal level? You know, Earlier, he used to get overwhelmed by these different choices and possible futures, and he was not sure what to do. Now he had a structure to handle that. He used to depend on data quite heavily. Now he was driven by the insight. He was more decisive instead of being slow. He was able to anticipate instead of waiting to react. And now he was AI augmented, not only experience bound. And as a result of that, Neeraj came to be known as thinking clearly when the situation is messy. Why does AI enable individual excellence? Why excellence? Why doesn't it create dependency? So in this case, as you see here, AI did not replace judgment. It did not make a decision. What AI did was improve the framing of the problem, expanded perspectives, and reduced cognitive load and surface blind spots. So that was the AI's enabling role, not a dependency role, right? Right. So what can we say is the final insight from this lecture? So what we can say is complex environments, excellence belongs to those who use AI to extend their thinking, not to outsource it. And AI simply doesn't, simplify reality. It helps you navigate it intelligently. Navigation is the key thing in these complex situations, which is what AI can help you do. So thank you so much for watching this introductory case study. I hope you continuing to learn new things, continuing to enjoy, and I do look forward to see you again in the next lecture. Please feel free to message me if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer your questions. And do download the PDF file to take a look at anything that you need to.